Welcome, everyone. First, I hope everyone is healthy and safe and doing what they need to stay that way. My name is Andrea Ray, and I have the pleasure to serve as the President CEO at the Seattle Southside Chamber. And on behalf of our board and staff, welcome to our SMART Southside Mitigation and Recovery Task Force webinar on career transitions. Many of us throughout different points on our career paths begin to question or challenge choices that we've made, and taking time to assess or maybe even reassess can be very valuable, especially now when so many outside forces seem to be making choices for us. How can we take back our power and think about what our options are? We'll find out soon. This copyrighted webinar is presented by the Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Chamber. Thank you to our sponsor, South King Media. Scott and Teresa Schaefer have been tireless advocates for our community as a small business themselves. They are dedicated to helping other small businesses grow, as well as keeping our community connected and informed. Scott is broadcasting this webinar live on Facebook so that even more people are able to watch with us and ask questions. And we are also recording so that those who aren't able to join live can still access this important information later at their own convenience. The Chamber will continue to produce webinars and virtual events on subjects impacting our community. Next week, we hope you'll join us as we hear from Lance Little, Managing Director of Aviation at SeaTac Airport. You can register for all of our webinars and virtual events on our website, seattlesouthsidechamber.com. We know providing opportunities to share information and connect will make our community stronger and ready for recovery. We hope you can join us for more of these opportunities, and if you or your company is able to donate or sponsor our work so we can continue to serve our community in and through every challenge, it would be greatly appreciated. Every little bit helps. Even a donation of $1 brings us closer to recovery and helps keep our nonprofit strong and able to serve. Thank you. So for those of us who have joined, we will hear a presentation, and then after our presentation, we will have time for Q&A. And so for those of you who have joined us through Zoom, it's really easy to participate and get your questions answered. You can just put those right into the Q&A function on the webinar or type them into the chat. For those of us who are joining on Facebook, Scott will help us by monitoring the comments on Facebook and then sending those questions to me via the chat, and then I will help facilitate those questions. So again, please feel free to ask and type your questions into the chat as they come up to you, and then just know that we will get to them at the end of the presentation. And now it is my extreme pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Solomon, or as I call him, Saul Uwadiale, our speaker today. Dr. Uwadiale is a successful author, keynote speaker, executive coach, facilitator, and principal management consultant with Trafton International Consulting Group. He advises leaders on operational improvement and cultural effectiveness. I've had the pleasure to know him now for over 3 years, and I know I am a better person just for having known him. Saul has consulted with Fortune 500 companies as well as public sector organizations to help them develop strategies that positively impact their overall bottom line. And he does this through organizational assessment, consulting, coaching, and training. Saul has delivered more than 7,000 hours of coaching, conducted more than 100 organizational assessments, enhanced employee engagement and retention rates by more than 80%, and eliminated more than 300,000 hours of excess staff time through lean process improvements and projects and enhanced organizational performance to generate more than 30 million in company savings and 40 million of additional revenue generation. Solomon's areas of focus include people, aligning them to their strengths to be more effective in their roles, process, improving what can be improved and mitigating against what cannot, purpose, creating a healthier culture by aligning individual and organizational values, product, understanding the services created because of the established process that serves a need or satisfies a want, profits, and results, assisting decisions, developing plans, and managing implementation to have a positive effect on the bottom line. One of the things that separates Saul's consulting company from other consulting firms is the design of the organizational assessment survey instrument through the collaboration and trust of his clients, employees, and management team to get the true reading of assessed organizational culture. Saul's work is based on simple, repeatable techniques that deliver high performance results. Saul, I am so grateful that you're able to share your time with us today and walk us through career transitions, taking all of your experience and your expertise. So, Saul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Andre, for that introduction. And it's my pleasure, to be part of this process. And I've known you now for almost 3 years plus. So we really work well together. And I do appreciate anytime when I call you, you provide me good customer service. You already return my phone call. So to me, I'm very grateful for that. So for today, I have about 30 minutes, to kind of give you a little bit about what we're going to be talking today. We have limited time, so we're going to try to use it wisely. And first of all, most of you can't see me very well, but I've done everything I can. Scott has helped me too to make sure I have enough lighting. But hey, this is who I am, so I'm going to try, to see what we can accomplish today. So next slide. Again, just a little bit of my experience, like Andrea said, but I just want to kind of focus more in terms of leadership development and consulting and then career, and business coaching. So that is relevant for what we're going to be talking here today. And at the end, I'm going to explain to you in terms of my experience as an executive coach. Okay, so next slide. So what we're going to be talking about today, number one, in terms of our agenda, like Andrea said, we need to look at our present reality. What are we facing right now? And then I'm going to go to, the key fundamental questions. So from there, we're going to look at how do you do personal and job assessment before you move to the next step. Then I'm going to cover the benefit of hiring a coach that can really help you in this transition. The last one we're going to be talking about will be how do you express gratitude and appreciation? In spite of what is going on right now, we have to be able to express that, gratitude and appreciation. Then from there, we're going to go through, Q&A, and we're going to try to cover all this within the time period that Andre has given us. Then if you want to get hold of me in terms of contact, we're going to have that at the end of the slide. But if you don't have that information, all you have to do, get hold of Andre and she can get hold of me. Okay, so let's start. Next slide. So first of all, I want us to all acknowledge, our present situation. What I mean by that, our present situation is the COVID-19 pandemic that really created the uncertainty that we have right now, and also created some opportunity for us. So just kind of run through a little bit of the stats. Like in terms of this pandemic, in King County alone, we have 19,000 plus confirmed, 722 deaths. In Washington State, we have 72,703 confirmed, 1,800 plus deaths. Then in United States, we have almost 6 million, confirmed, and almost 183, deaths. Then globally, you can see how this pandemic is affecting us globally. We have 24 million, confirmed, and 828,000 plus deaths. So despite the serious implication, for people's health, COVID-19 is significantly impacting, businesses and the economy. And we can see that all over around us. We are in a moment of uncertainty, and we are faced with unique challenges. Based on, this pandemic, you have millions of jobs lost in the United States and other parts of the world. And a lot of businesses are closing, or they are reducing, productivity because they have to reduce their workforce. It has also created a lot of as I said before, most of us right now, we are kind of in a limbo. We don't really know what to do. And we are looking for a way, how do we transition to a new career or a new business? At the same time, this pandemic has created some opportunity, to do something different. I can give you an example. As executive coach, I have some clients at Microsoft. And one of my clients was telling me, about a few months ago, he said, so now I have to be at home with my wife, with two kids, my mother-in-law, my mom, my father-in-law, all in the same, under the same roof. He said, you know what, things are getting tense. I would like you, because I'm getting a lot from your coaching, but I would like you to coach my wife too. And I said, oh, wow. So you can see, although that we are losing jobs, and we are still also creating opportunities. So I want you, the audience, don't be despair. Look at where you are right now, and opportunity is going to come up. So now it is time to shift our focus and effort to return to work. A lot of us are preparing now. How do we go back? How can we, go back to work? The reality right now that we have is that most jobs are already gone. And it's time for us now to transition to a new career or business. We have to take proactive action. We have to be more, strategic in our approach to move on to the next level. You can't just give up. Just to let you know, COVID-19 is real. The point is that it's going to be, you're going to have some failures in business. You're going to have some failures in your capacity, and triumphs too in terms of this transaction. So what I want us to do is to kind of focus on the positive side. And that's why I have some quote in here so you can see, because you're going to experience some failures, as I said before. The first quote I have here, is from Michael, Jordan, where he said, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying. So basically what we're saying right here, yes, you're going to have some challenges because of the present situation. We already acknowledge that. But you cannot just sit back and say, I'm not going to try. Because, I do encourage failure. Because when you fail, then you know what you need to do next to do better in your business and also in your personal level. And the second quote that I have here is from Steve Jobs. He says, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. That's where I want us to really look at. Don't settle. If you haven't found it yet, don't settle. So things gonna get better. As I said before, look at the positive side. Look at the opportunity that this, pandemic is creating. Because a lot of people are doing something different. You have to move forward. You can't just sit back and give up. Okay. Next slide. So the first thing I'm going to, you want to answer to yourself, some of the fundamental question is your what. Because this is critical in terms of coaching. Because a lot of people say, well, I want to change career. I want to do something different, but they don't really know what they want to do. So it's critical for you to answer your what. What exactly are you transitioning from, and what exactly are you transitioning to? Once you understand your what, then focus on your why. Because you have to have a reason why you want to transition. Then once you have that full understanding of your why, now you can say, okay, now focus on your how. Because most of the time people will say, I can't really make any transition because I don't have no money. I can't really do this because I don't have this. They just focus on how, instead of looking at the first things to look at, what exactly do you want to do? And why do you want to do that? That has to be crystal clear in your mind. Then the how can come in, then you can say, oh, okay, I'm going to do it this way. This is the way I'm going to go. And then you can access the resources that you need, and you can be really successful in what you do. So I want you to keep that in mind. Always ask yourself the question, your what, your why, and the how. Okay, so next slide. So now I want us to kind of go through some of the strategies, process for you to be really successful when you want to transition to a new career or a new job. And this is hard, but if you do it right, I can guarantee you, a great success. But you have to be committed to do it the right way. The first strategy that we want us to look at would be first, begin with the end in mind, because most of us, we've gone, read this book or gone through training, Stephen Covey, the 7, habits of effective people. And that is habit number 2. We said, begin with the end in mind. So basically what we're saying right here, you have to really find out what exactly do you want to do. You have to be, to begin each day, the task with clear vision of your desired direction and destination. Because if you say, for instance, I want to go to Olympia, first of all, you have to design in your mind, why do I want to go to Olympia? What do I want to go do in Olympia? And how am I going to get there? So if you, every day you start in the morning when you're trying to make that transition, have a clear vision of what exactly you want to do. Have a clear picture. When I transition, this is the reason why I want to transition. This is the picture it's going to look like. When you have that in mind every day, you're going to be very successful. Develop a personal mission. Visualize, your next career, your next job. How is that going to look like? And so that is the first thing, the first strategy we need to put in place. The second area would be your personal assessment. This is critical, because if you don't know who you are, you cannot really make any gain in your life. So the first thing you need to do is to sit down with pen and paper, piece of paper, and see that what exactly, how is, who am I? And what are my, capabilities? So the first thing you want to look at, your strength. What are your strengths? What are those things you are really good at that you don't have to exhaust a lot of energy? If you're a good communicator, then you need to put that down. What do you do best? And so where maybe it would be, for instance, I'm a good leader. I can lead people, especially at this time, we need great leaders. And so you can look at it, is that one of your strengths? Creativity, is that one of your strengths? Communication at this time, is that one of your strengths? You have to help yourself to identify the key information about yourself. And that will include, first of all, starting with your strength. Once you're able to have clear understanding of your strength, the next area would be, what are your challenges, your weaknesses? And see, how do I close the gap? And one of the weaknesses based in my business that I see a lot in a lot of people is that procrastination is one of the areas that a lot of people are really, weak at. And when I ask the question, why do you procrastinate? Some people will say, I don't know. And I say, okay, tell me a story where you've procrastinated. What is the cost? What has that cost you? And you can see a lot of people, when they're going through that process, they start weeping because they've let procrastination destroy their career or destroy their business. Oh, yes, I will do it later. Or some people say, well, I'm very effective when, things I have to do it at the last moment. No. So these are things we can teach you, give you tools on how you can make things done. The next area about yourself, you want to know what exactly is your vision. You have to have a clear vision, have that dream. What is that? Then the next, what we want for you to look at would be, what are your core values? How do you make decisions? Some of the example, core value do you might have would be, hard work, honesty, humility, because you have to have you have to have full understanding your core values to really know who you are, how you make decisions. Then we look at, in terms of your beliefs, what are some of those beliefs that are holding you back? Then we look at, what are your purpose? What gave you, fulfillment in life? What are some of your fears? We all do have fears. So you're able to really understand, when you go through this process, you have full understanding of who you are. That's what we call self-awareness. When you have that self-awareness, then you can say, okay, my next step now would be, what are my intentions? You cannot just jump into say, I want to make a career change or want to make that transition without really fully assessing who you are. Then the next area you want to look at will be, what are some of those transferable skills that you have or you don't have? First, you need to first identify your capabilities that you can leverage as transferable skills. So you need to look at, what are you really good at? And some area, especially at this time, for leaders. One example will be crisis management. Is that one of the skills that you have? If you don't have that, then how do you acquire that? Relationship building, that is very important that you have that. Problem solving, because especially at this time, people hire you because you can solve a problem. They want to know, you can come in and help them formulate a solution to their problem. So you have to really have that skill. Another area would be, you have some analytical skills, prioritization skills, sales, supply chain, training and coaching, especially at this time, if you are in a management position, because training is really hot at this time. You can see what is happening with parents, because everybody is going through Zoom. Those of you that are with IT background, you are in a really good position, because a lot of us, we are not that very good with IT. What do? We call you all the time. And now you can see schools, parents, meetings, board meetings, everything now is on Zoom, it's online. So you have to really look at the skills that you have, that is marketable, that you can transfer, to the next level. So once you're able to go through that, then the next area would be, okay, well, now that I know, number one, I know who I am, I have full understanding, who Solomon is, that self-awareness. Now I understand my intention. So what exactly I want, what kind of career that interests me? Where do I want to go? And part of my recommendation there, when you do that, is to go online, check, some of the headhunters, website, look at their website, something that really interests you. They have a lot of jobs opening right there. So you look at, what are the description, what are the requirements? Remember, the first thing I said you do is to do that self-assessment. Look at your transferable skills. So you can see with your job, with the job that they have open in most of these websites, you can sit down, look at it, the description and everything, say, okay, now I have this, I don't have this. So you have to make that analysis. Then you can write it down. So if you are really interested in that job, what do? You say, okay, how do I acquire the skill that they require? And now, you have training all over. You can get a lot of free training online that will help you gain those transferable skills. So I really, recommend strongly, and you do that first. Number one, do that self-assessment. Number two, looking at what your area you're really strong at, you are good at, that's easy for you to do. And then from there, what are some of those skills that I have now that I can transfer to a new skill? Then do your own research, see what is out there before you make that career transition. Next slide. Next. And so this is, you can use this as part of your personal self-assessment. On the left-hand side, you look at, what are your strengths? These are your good at. Your weaknesses. Then from there, you can say, here are my transferable skills. You're really sure now. This will help you a lot. Make it easier for you. Now, when you are looking at the next career or the next business, what you want to do is make it really, really easy. And you can always refer back to it, add to it anytime. So writing something down is very critical. It's going to be very, very critical for your success. Write it down. Write it down. Okay, next slide. So once you do all the assessment, the personal assessment, your job skill assessment, so what is the next step? Now you have to sit down and develop your own narrative and share that. So you have to say, okay, I'm really good at that. Now you need to start looking at, revising your resume, looking at that. Then review. The next area would be, to review. Let me go back to the first one, in terms of your narrative, because you need to do that because it's going to help you later on when you start doing your networking. You need to really have good understanding what exactly how you're going to tell your story. When you have a friend going to ask you, oh, I'm looking for a job, you should be able to articulate to that individual what kind of job you're looking for, what is your background, the experience that you have that will really put you in that position. So they have full understanding. You don't have to bore them with a lot of stories, a lot of long, narrative, but short and brief, interesting narrative about yourself. Then you distribute that, you share that, with friends, LinkedIn, all that. It's very important that you do that the first time. So the second area that you need to work on would be to review your transferable skills and interests. That's your next step. You write it down. And then the third area would be to identify your prospective companies or job that you are interested in. So if you follow this step by step and put a lot of effort into it, interest into it, you will find out that it's going to be much, much easier for you to get the job that you want or the business that you want to transfer into. Because some people are already there, they are doing it. But it's all left to you now. How do you articulate that? How do you prospect in terms of the companies that you want to go into? Do more research. Have somebody call them, find out what are some of the requirements. This company, look at their values. What is some of their core values? And see if that are aligned with your values. It's just such a question that, oh, I'm looking for a job. I want to transition. I just want to go anywhere. Number one, you want to make sure that it's best fit for you. So you can do a lot of research online about that company and the type of job that they have available. That's why your transferable skill comes in. Then you can look at your transferable skill and say, oh yeah, this matches. Oh, but I'm very interested in this particular job. But look at some of the requirements. I need to go do more training, or I need to go find a way to research and acquire that kind of training to help me get that job. The next would be connect with people. You cannot isolate yourself. Find a way to connect with people. Build that relationship. It's critical that, yet in spite of our present situation right now, we still need to connect with people. Find a way to connect with people safely. And that would really help you a lot when you connect with people, because they're going to be sharing ideas. They fully understand what you're going through. And people are you can be surprised how people are very helpful. They would like to provide you help, but you have to ask. Network. Join an association like you have the Chamber of Commerce now. They have information, coming in all the time. So find a mentor, somebody that can mentor you. So it's very important. Then the next area, now you have all the information available for you. Now you apply, you apply for the job that you really want. And some of that, you're using social media, professional, to kind of beef up your resume, and put your need out there. Use LinkedIn, social media, Facebook, and all that. So you're going to see a lot of opening and a lot of people in the same category like you that will really help you to move forward. Okay. So the next area, what I would recommend is to have a coach that will help you, number one, do that self-assessment that will really question you. When you say these are your strengths, it's going to really help you, to make sure that that's exactly what you say is your strength is your strength. So getting a coach is very important. So I will really highly recommend that you get somebody that will help you to streamline in terms of your capabilities that will move you to the next level. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, great. So for me, these are some, what I say, 10 key benefits of a coach, having a coach. One is that the coach is going to help you gain clear perspective. That means we talked about that self-awareness, what you are capable of doing. That means comparing your capability with the requirement of the job. This person is going to really help you to streamline that. Apart from the self-awareness, help you remove all your blinders, because we all have blind spots we don't see. So some people will say, well, I applied for this job several times, or I applied for a promotion, I want to move on, but I'm never invited for an interview. Then you need to ask yourself the question, why? With a coach, he can help you, he or she can help you, find out what are some of those things that you are doing, some of your characteristics, some of your behavior that you're not aware of. Okay, so two is going to help you or she identify your strength, your weaknesses, then leverage your existing strength, not really focusing so much on your weaknesses, but leveraging your strength that you have. And the next area that a coach can help you is to be able to help you navigate your career or professional change that you really want to do. That's why we're going to be asking you a really true question that you can come to the conclusion. Now, I'm sure this is what I want to do, and this is the reason why I want to do it. Now I know how to do it. I have the tools to move it to the next level. What are the resources that I have? So a coach is going to help you clarify that. And also he or she is going to help you get greater insights for you to start making better decisions. Sometimes we make impulse decisions, later on we regret that. But now you have somebody in confidence that you can discuss with, and that will help you streamline those ideas for you to make better decisions. But the most important thing is to have that self-empowerment and also have that personal development. So if you need some leadership skills, the coach is going to help you get there. If you need communication skills, so whatever skills that you need. So that personal development, the coach can work with you to identify that. But also, again, provide you effective feedback and set realistic expectations. Because sometimes we work in circles because nobody's really giving us, real feedback on how we can make some changes, how we can be more flexible and make the changes that we need to make. So a coach is going to help you with that and also help you to achieve your goals and objectives. Because again, so when you have full understanding who you are in terms of your self-awareness, now you say, what's my next, my intention would be to do what? That's why you can set up your goals and objectives and hold you accountable, to make sure you gain those things. And the most important one is to help you build confidence and transferable skills. Because again, you're working with your coach to help you with those transferable skills. So now I'm looking at time. So to look in terms of key practices for you to be successful. Next slide. So what are those things that can make you to be very, successful in terms of your transition? Number one, understanding of our current environment, which we've already spent a lot of time on that, because COVID-19 is here and we have to find a way to survive. We have to find a way to go around it. We have to find a way and to see what can we do to start making a living again. We have to live our life. This pandemic is here, but let's be more positive, have a positive mindset, have that I can do, mindset. Because if you have that, anything is possible. Be confident, have a lot of confidence in yourself. The commitment, because when you say I'm looking for a job or I want to make that transition, you have to be confident. You have to put a lot of commitment into it and also be consistent. Consistency is very, very important. You can't do what you have to do today and then a whole week you take time off, then you come back, you're expecting, positive result. That's not going to work. Be resilient. And also, have some humility. And because people like to help people, that are more humble. So, because attitude is everything. You can be the smartest person, but if your attitude stinks, nobody's, willing to work with you or help you. Again, you have to have that life work balance. Manage your stress because you cannot allow what is happening right now. It's going to let it stress you out. No, manage your stress. Then you can be successful when you wake up in the morning, what you want to do. Do a lot of walking around, exercise, whatever you have to do. But you need to be able to manage your stress. But the whole thing is taking personal responsibility. This is your life. You have to take personal responsibility to move to the next level and express some gratitude. Because again, you have to be happy, show some gratitude. Hey, you are here, I still have a whole life, to live. Then express appreciation because whatever we are in today, whatever position you are today, one way or the other, somebody helped you to be there. Always show appreciation for any little thing that somebody helped you to accomplish. Just a simple thank you, acknowledgement, that will go a long way. So if you follow these key practices every day, your transition is going to be as smooth as you want it to be. Okay? So that is my presentation. And again, I'll try to work within the time allocated. So we can only show a lot of example or we are not in live. If we're live, we can be doing a lot of group exercises. So that's the new technology. I had to be flexible. This is what we do right now. I love to be in front of the people. We can interact, but this is not possible at this time. But we have to do with what we have.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Next slide.
much. Oh, you have
Next
another slide? Oh, perfect. Megan, gotcha.
No, before, back. Okay, yeah. So we want to kind of in Q&A, then also your action plan. And I want you to go home today and put some action plan in place. Or you are at home or your office. So what exactly now, what do I want to do? So to kind of summarize the whole thing, have full understanding what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you're going to get it done. Have your plan, and I guarantee you're going to have some success. So before we close, and Andrea is going to be facilitating that, but I want you to think of one thing that you're going to be taking away from here. You can send it to Scott, or you can verbalize it. That would be great. Okay, Andrea?
Perfect. Thanks. I was jumping the gun a little bit because we are getting so many great questions that are coming in. And so again, just reminding everyone that if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and type those questions into the comment section. If you are joining us through Zoom and you registered as an attendee, you can go ahead and type those questions right into the chat or into the Q&A. And again, really appreciate you being here. And so first question, I think, Saul, we can probably tackle this one both together, but are there new careers that are growing because of and during the pandemic? And then kind of as a follow-up to that, do we have any recommendations? Are those growing checks might good too for career transitioning? So I'll let you tackle it first, and then I have a couple of thoughts that I can add on.
Okay. Well, the first one is IT. That is, because right now I can tell you, if you have that IT background, you anticipate some of the challenges a lot of people are going through. And so, for instance, if people like us, we do coaching or presentation, I cannot be advancing my slide the same time, I'm talking. So what Scott is doing right now, I have to hire somebody that is going to be in charge of my slide and also taking the questions. So there's a lot of people doing that right now. One of my business partners, a professor, from Florida State, he told me that. He said, so this is the person I just used. All I do now, I just come in and teach the class, but somebody else somewhere, maybe Puerto Rico somewhere, is sitting down, advancing my slide, taking questions. So that's one area. Doesn't take a whole lot of resources to do that. And I'll give you another example. My daughter lives in California. My granddaughter she's 8, and they are making these little kids to sit in front of their laptop using Zoom for classes. My daughter is frustrated. What happened? My granddaughter, after maybe a few minutes, she falls asleep. She's not interested. So my daughter is now saying, oh, Dad, I need to hire a private tutor because I'm not satisfied with what the school system is doing. See, there's opportunities out there. You just have to think, what are some of the challenges that we're going through? Then exploit that and see how you can provide solution.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you, more. Again, what is phenomenal about the greater Seattle metro area and our local economy is that we are very tech heavy, right? We have a lot of tech companies. And so anything that is within that kind of, IT realm, tech, engineering, software engineering, anything that's kind of focused within that, STEM career, pathway, that's will continue, to be a driving industry. And so that's very robust and very healthy. The other place is, biotech or healthcare, certainly. Again, we know that with the demands of, fighting the pandemic, the healthcare sector, could use some help. And so healthcare is also a place that we continue to see. So the growing sectors, again, tech, healthcare, and then Saul, as you mentioned, education and kind of those support services for education, are definitely there. And there are, as you mentioned, these new kind of niche, career paths, like you were talking about, producers for, virtual events, right? That is something that, we've always had live TV producers, right? So, I have a friend of mine who is a producer for news in Las Vegas, right? So that's his career, right? That's what he went to school for, and he's doing that. And now here we all are kind of doing our own broadcast careers, right? So we need producers. We need help producing these events. We're so grateful that Scott is our producer. He has, so many years of, skills and expertise with South King Media to be able to lend, to us so that we can, produce our virtual events. But yeah, that's absolutely a new career path that's coming. And then we've also seen the need for facilitators, so again, virtual facilitators. Not everyone is a natural facilitator, and it's different facilitating virtual events, than it is in-person events, and so that would kind of be another aspect.
Another area you can look into would be like traveling, because a lot of people are scared to travel now. So all you have to do your research, identify those areas, because you do set up partnership, identify those areas, that are really safe, and describe the amenities that they have, how they can really protect, their guests. Now you can sell that. It doesn't have to take so you don't need a lot of resources to do that. Take some pictures of that facility, you sell it, now people can say, Americans love to go on vacation. They love to travel, but everybody's scared right now. So you look at what is the problem and what kind of solution can you provide. And I just thought about that because I've been trying to go on vacation. I can't go. I'm saying, if I can see somebody that can provide me in more information on different facility, how they can protect you, I will go. So again, you just have to sit down, think, what are some of the challenges that we're going through now? You'll be surprised the solution you come up with, and people are ready to pay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is another question kind of related to just, what is the process like now for interviewing for jobs? So has the pandemic affected job interviews and recruiting? Absolutely. And Saul, I don't know if you wanted to kind of share your thoughts on that, and then I can, certainly chime in as well.
Yes, you correct absolutely. Because again, we all think we can do interview very well. That's why you need some help. You need a coach, and that will prep you. Do the research, anticipate some of the questions that they're going to be asking you. Because I get called, a lot of people say, "Hey, Saul, thank you. I went to this interview. I got this job, and you were able to really prepare me." When I got there, I was relaxed. Some of the questions, I was frustrated the first time you were asking me those questions. But when after practicing and I got the job, I want to thank you, for helping me. Because again, we all need help. You don't think you can do it all by yourself. Ask for help and show appreciation, and things are going to work out for you. So yes, interview process is totally different now. Again,
Absolutely. And it's all online. And I think that, and it is tricky. And I think, we haven't talked about this, but there is an equity gap, right? So being able to apply for jobs now, you need infrastructure, right? You need to have high speed internet, you need the webcam, you need to be, have the materials to be able to present yourself in the best light. Libraries are closed, right? So we need to be thinking about, how do we, provide those tools and resources to create more economic equity and opportunity for people who are looking to make a career transition, or who are looking for employment services, because it absolutely has impacted that. I know of very few companies right now that are doing in-person interviews. They're all, on Zoom or Skype.
that's it. I mean, that's also I say, be aware of our present situation. And it's not going away. This is the way, things going to be for now. So you have to be flexible, make some adjustment, and if you want to really move to the next level.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question. So how important have online tools like Zoom become, for those who are transitioning to a new career? How necessary is it that we all become kind of, Zoom experts or virtual meeting experts, so that we can showcase ourselves, in the best possible light? As you're mentioning, it's important to recognize what the current situation is, and the current situation is absolutely, when you have an interview, the people that are interviewing you are, they're looking to see what's in the background. They're looking to see how you present yourself. These are things that still very much are part of that in-person interview. It's just, it's different now. And so I'll just say, really quickly that it is important to gain some level of expertise and awareness. And as you were talking about, practicing with a coach, what those questions might be, so that you can become a little bit more comfortable with the interview process. I would also suggest practicing with those online tools, right? So practice Zoom, practice Skype. When you get that meeting request that says, here's how we want to interview you, here's the link, do your research and really, prep and prepare for what that online tool or platform is, so that, you're not caught unawares, during the actual interview. And I don't know if you have any other thoughts or feedback on that.
Well, I mean, again, that self-awareness is very important, because the question now is that they're going to be asking, yes, the technical aspect is great, but people want to know who you are. Who are you? And based on that, they're going to make that decision. Do I want to bring this person into my organization? Yes, oh, you're very smart. You have all the degrees and all that. but your personality is going to play a key role. And again, now you're on TV, they're watching you, they're seeing your reaction, they're looking at your environment. So that's one thing. Number one, using this tool is noise-free environment is very important. When somebody's talking to you, a baby is crying and your dog is barking and all that, I've experienced all that. And I can see the reaction of the person that I'm talking to, or when I'm doing my coaching and I'm hearing those noise, the background noise, it's really frustrating. Then you have to tell the person, well, we agree, turn that off. So sometimes people forget that. And so with Zoom, you can get free training. Everything online, you can do that. And just pay a minimum that you don't have to spend. I think it's free for the first 40 minutes or 50 minutes, I don't know. And so, but you just spend that money, invest some resources and get the best out of it. And they provide you free training and make sure you have good understanding, what you're doing.
Perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that. This kind of goes back a little bit to, that self-assessment, right? So I love your suggestion about, working with someone else for the self-assessment, because I think oftentimes that is the most difficult part for people. I know that at the Chamber, we work with people that are going through career transitions. They'll come to us and say, well, I lost my job and I've been doing this, specific thing for 20 years and I'm just not qualified to do anything else. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. And you just you start asking those questions about well, what do you do in your free time? Or do you belong to any organizations? And, pretty soon things start to pop to the surface of, oh, well, you're on the board of this organization, or, you've had this other type of life experience. And, there's all these other, skills and strengths that person, might just not realize because, I think that part of the challenge of being in a career for so long is that you do kind of get these blinders, right? It's this tunnel vision of this is what I do, this is what I'm good at, whatever that is, and you don't, actually look up and say oh yeah, well, I also have this skill or that skill, or I'm good at this or good at that. So do you have any recommendations for, how to do a better self-assessment, right? What are those most important questions to ask yourself, when you are assessing, what your strengths and your weaknesses are, when people are getting stuck with that?
I mean, you can get, online apps that you can use, for that. But when you sit down one-on-one, it's totally different. Because again, when you ask someone, so I'm very good, at this. Then you ask the question, okay, if you say this is one of your strengths, tell me a story where you've really used that strength. And when I ask the question, it's headline went up, they look at me. I'm a good communicator. Okay, fine. You're a good communicator. Tell me how you use that to solve a problem. And they cannot really tell me a story. Then they will say, okay, I scratch that. That's not my strength. Again, so when you have to be sure. That's why you have a third person to really ask you those deep questions. Because at the end of the day, you're really sure this is my strength. These are my core values. This is how I make decisions. Here are my principles. So those things are critical. Again, that's part of who you are. So that's why when you have somebody that can help you drive that, and then almost like you have your own Bible, you have your plan. You can say, okay, now I can really read that. Oh, here, my vision is this. My purpose in life is this. My principles that I have, this is how I make decisions. My core values are these. Then here are my strengths. So now you have everything in writing. That's what part of your plan. Now you can transition now. Okay, one of my goals, we look at different categories. Okay, health, because without your health, you can't really do anything. Okay, my health, this is things I want to accomplish. Self-development, this is what I want to. So somebody will kind of help you put all that together. That's the advantage of having a coach.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The second question here, kind of a fallback to that, self-assessment question, is that practicing resiliency, right? So a lot of people are feeling discouraged, right? There are a lot of challenges. As you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stress. How do we pick ourselves up, when we do have that failure, right? When you've gone to 30 job interviews and you don't get calls back, when you're just feeling deflated and depleted. What are some tips on practicing resiliency?
Well, number one, you have to, that's why I said, have that commitment. If you have the commitment, say, I'm going to attend this webinar today, you're going to do everything within your power. Because it's important to you, you will do everything to attend the webinar we are on today. You look at your schedule, you check everything out, then you register, you clock in 11 o'clock. So you have to do what you need to do. Because sometimes we put so much stress on ourselves, things that are really simple, we make it complicated. So you have to sit down, first of all. It's like we went back to the three, fundamental questions you always ask yourself: the what, the why, the how. It worked for me, it worked a lot for my client. Sit down, okay, what exactly, the job that I'm going to be applying for? Because not just apply for anything you want, and then you get the result that you get. So first of all, you need to really sit down, the type of job you're looking for. Why do I want to apply for this job? Because during the interview, it's going to show if you are really into it, if you're really interested. They're going to see that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you need to really see, that's the first thing you do. That's self, examination. I went to this interview. Okay, I didn't get it. Why didn't I get that job? What are some of the questions they were asking me that I was fumbling, I could not respond to? Then go back to the drawing board. But some of us don't do that. We so much, I have to pay my bill. I'm so stressed out, I have to get a job. All the focus on, I have to get a job. I have to move to the next level. But you need to step back. Take your time. Do it right the first time. And your success rate will be higher when you do it right the first time. By asking yourself those fundamental questions. And if you don't have those skills the first time you go to an interview, then see that, okay, I'm not really good at this. They ask me a question in terms of conflict resolution, because I'm applying for a job that I'm going to be having a lot of people working under me. There's going to be some conflict. There's going to be some issues. How do I resolve that? They asked me the question, I could not respond to that. Or maybe I need some training in that area. And now you have a better success rate when you go to the next one. So self-examination is critical.
Perfect. With all things, right? It's important. It's that self introspection.
Yes.
Makes us better people and better employees. Absolutely. So we have two last questions here, and one: any new tools that people should use when they are looking for new careers and jobs during this pandemic? Again, we talked about how important still networking and connecting to people still is, even though we can't go to kind of those traditional networking events where we're shaking hands and collecting contact information. I know I've seen a lot more activity on LinkedIn lately. That's a huge good platform to continue to still network virtually. It's not necessarily a new tool. I don't know if you've heard of anything else that could kind of, be helpful to people as we're continuing to job search and career transition, during this era of, virtual.
Well, I mean, sometimes, people is still critical in terms of whatever we want to do, that personal interaction. Sometimes that's why you have to do that self-assessment. I can tell you when I started my business, I worked for the state for 25 years. I worked for private industry, then worked for government for 25 years. So I was making that transition into, private sector. And I was knocking my head. I put in for different RFP. I won't get it. Then I would call them and they would sit down with me and say, okay, what do I need to do differently so that next time when I get another RFP, I will know exactly what I need to do. And most of these folks, they were really nice because you had to ask. They would give me some feedback. And I go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I apply for the next one. But what was very important for me, one day, I went to lunch with one of my friends and I said, okay, tell me, what am I doing wrong? If I was working for you, you know me for this long, what are some of the things you think I'm very good at that you think I should really leverage? And he said, Solomon, looking at your background, you worked for the state government for 25 years. Why don't you reconnect with those folks that you work with over there? And I said, dang. And right there, I made a phone call to one of the managers. Guess what? I got a contract from that phone call, $25,000. You see, so sometimes we have all the solution, but we're not utilizing it. That's why you always have somebody, because the solution is right there in front of you, but we don't see that. We are searching, all around us, try to find a better, solution. But whereas if you really focus and gain what you have and look at the gap, what you don't have. So that human element is still very there in spite of what we are going through right now. It's critical. You go back, if you're looking, you want to make a transition, call somebody that's already doing it, or they retire, and they can give you some insights. So that's what worked for me. I'm very keen in terms of, one-to-one relationship. I've been very successful in that. And based on that, recommendation from my friend, I've done more businesses with that organization. More business, more than $25,000.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think we say all the time at the chamber that your network is your net worth. And I think that often we just don't connect, that friendship and that relationship to what could be an interesting, career opportunity, right? And it's good, to just ask the question, right? Hey, could you introduce me to so and so, or in your opinion, can you provide me some feedback from when we used to work together, right? People are wanting and willing to help, and all we have to do is ask the questions, and often it's just utilizing your own network, your family and your friends. So that's I appreciate that. It's really important.
Network. That personal relationship is still number one as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And then this kind of leads into that final question, which is, what can organizations like Chambers of Commerce do to help those, with a career transition? And again, that's key, right? So a huge part of what we do as a nonprofit organization that's focused on economic development and community engagement is providing those opportunities to connect and refer, right? So we have a form on our website that, that people can fill out, for internships or mentorships or job shadows. We have in our database the companies that have said, we're willing to provide this opportunity. We want to be able to provide this opportunity. It makes sense for us as a company to invest in education and workforce development, so that we can, ensure that we have the workers that we need to continue to do business within our community. And so I would say it's networking, it's referrals. We have a job board. But it's being kind of playing that matchmaker, right? Like here we have a prospective employee, here we have a business, we're happy to make those connections and do those referrals. And then I know we will also do some resume help. And we've hosted several different virtual events, virtual, career fairs and those types of things. And you could even, some of that's even on our website that people can access later. Look at our membership directory, right? If there's a company, like you said, Saul, you're doing your self-assessment and you're saying, these are my core values. This is the type of company and the type of culture that I want to work at. Oh, look, they happen to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. We're happy always to help make those connections. And I don't know if you have any other advice or feedback on other organizations or referral systems.
Yeah, again, you had to do the legwork, network, have association like you, because you had to develop that partnership with those companies. What I would recommend when you making that transition, don't be afraid to give back. What I mean by that is that they come to you, so okay, one of my strengths is that I'm looking for a sales job. And you can see a small and pop company, part of a Chamber of Commerce. Volunteer your time. See, you go there, you never know what's going to happen. Now you have a platform. You are there volunteering your time, helping them to solve problems. You can use that now as part of your resume. Although it was a non-paying position, but you were in an organization that remember, you have that gap. I said before, when you do your analysis, you see now you have your strength, you have your weaknesses, you have your gap. So find a company, say, hey, you don't have to pay me now. I can come in 2 hours a day. And that is going to create a lot of ideas in your mind. And not only that, you are in a place now, the real company, be able to exercise what you know and gain more experiences and add that into your resume when you are looking for another job. And I can assure you, some of these small businesses, they will recommend when you use their references. Because again, references is very important when you're looking to make that transition. It's very, very important. So how do you do that? Find a company that you can work for free, and you'll be surprised what you can get from that relationship. So with Chamber is that you having more partnership, asking those questions, some of those companies, where do you need help? And then if they tell you we need help in this area, then look at your database, your members. Then try to connect the two, letting them know, hey, okay, this person is really willing to provide you free consultation, free assessment, free whatever, free training, for your organization, because you don't have the budget to do that right now. So you be the connector. And then as you are looking for that transition, you're going to be the one that really benefit from that, because the employer benefit, yourself, you benefit from it. Not everything is just money you have to pay for it. So I think the Chamber, you can really facilitate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We say all the time, we're connectors and conveners, right? That's our sweet spot. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Uwadiale. Do you have any other kind of just like last, final thoughts before we close out?
Well, I'll just say thank you for the opportunity, and don't be despair when you making that transition. Number one, don't be afraid. So what you really need to fully understand is, what do you want to do? Be clear. Have a clear vision where you're going. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't be afraid to be honest and authentic. To look at yourself. Who are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Once you have that full understanding, then do your job assessment. What are the skills that you have? What are some of my transferable skills that I can go to another employer? So again, number one, know that the present situation is going to get better. So you have to be positive about it. It's going to get better. Okay. So with that, I want to say thank you. And if you want to get hold of me, that's my contact information, or you can talk to Andre, and I can sit down with you one-on-one. First 1 hour is free, just to have full understanding what you want to do, and I can say, okay, this is how I can help you.
Fantastic. Thank you again so much, Saul. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise with us today. Want to also just thank Scott and South King Media, and of course, thank you to everyone who was able to join us today. And the webinar will be posted to our website later so that you can view and share it. That's at seattlesouthsidechamber.com. You can also see our upcoming events on the website. So we have our airport luncheon coming up on September 3rd. And again, we say luncheon because it is all virtual. So you bring your own lunch and we'll provide the information. And then we also have our mayors and elected officials reception coming up September 23rd. Information about all of our upcoming events and the ability to go back and see past webinars and virtual events all on the website, seattlesouthsidechamber.com. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe. As Saul said, stay positive, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.